Hello, everyone. This is Matt or Chewy. I'm back. Nick right here is back as well. And introducing y'all first
Alice.
time is she calls herself Alice, real name Sarah, but she loves Lewis Carroll and whatnot. And
Miniature Val Kilmer.
Midget Val Kilmer. Look at his face. It's like Face Off. They cut out Val Kilmer's face. By the way, the camera's right there, so if you want to look eye contact.
And put it on Danny DeVito's body.
Yeah. And speaking of Danny DeVito, today's review, as we said in the last one, we're going in order of the Batman movies, the original one. Well, today we're doing Batman Returns, the second of the original 4 movies, and the last one to be directed by Tim Burton, the last one to feature Michael Keaton in the title role. So just like the first one, just like that. Well, first off, something I forgot to mention about Batman '89. The character Bob in that movie was a catchy character, was he not?
I forgot to mention him in my review, and I think he really is something great about that movie.
Yeah, and Jack Palance as Boss Grissom. We mentioned Grissom, but we forgot to mention the actor that played him, the late Jack Palance, who was the rock and roll. And that's it. All right, Batman Returns. Like the first movie, there was a unique, not as artsy, but an interesting opening credits sequence. Nick, do you have an opinion on that?
Yes, it was very weird.
Well, you do know, and by the way, be aware of spoilers, as y'all know, and other things too. It won't be as offensive as last time, but the parents that played the Penguin's parents at the very beginning of the movie when Penguin was a baby, you recognize those two
Yes,
people?
it was Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, and I don't know the actress's name, but she was in
She
Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah, she co-starred
Yeah.
with Paul Rubens in Pee Wee's Big Adventure, which was
I like that opening scene actually.
it was pretty cool.
Thing with the mansion. I
Yeah.
like that better than the penguin actually going into the sewers.
Yeah, because that's the opening credits sequence.
Yeah,
The Penguin
pretty
just floating through the sewers.
Actually, you know what? My memory is refreshed. I like how it's so suspenseful when the 4 names are going across, and then boom, Batman returns.
Yeah.
I like that part.
Yeah.
I thought the scene went a little long, but yeah, it was
Yeah.
nothing bad.
Yeah, but about Paul Rubens and that woman, forgot her name. Because that Pee Wee's Big Adventure just so happens to be whose first major movie,
Tim Burton.
Okay, enough of the opening. The big thing about Batman Returns, and we can all agree, what makes this so uniquely different than the first movie is that it is much darker.
Tim Burton.
Much
Very
more
Tim
Tim Burton.
I'm definitely gonna
It
get
was
to that.
it was like a virtual sequel to Edward Scissorhands. It came out like 1 year after Edward Scissorhands.
1 or 2.
But it was much darker, is what I'm saying.
And I love the style. I love Amy.
Yeah, it's a rock and roll style.
Great style.
They I don't think there's a single scene set during the daytime, or if there
I know
is, maybe 1 or 2 where it's indoors with a little bit of daylight shining through a window, like Penguin's little
No,
space.
there
they give
is
him.
like the parts of like the city hall, like about a tree.
Yeah,
That was about it.
really, there's no big scene set during the day. It's really a nighttime movie, which helps make it dark. And it's set, and the other thing is Christmas,
Yeah.
holiday season, because they have the big tree lighting. This movie was not afraid to take chances. Darkness isn't just a feel and vibe; it's also about the
Tone.
shit that goes down.
Tone in a movie character.
For
No,
instance-
creating fear, I think. Also creating fear.
For
I would say.
instance, innocent people actually get harmed and even killed in this movie by the villains, such as that princess woman, the ice princess
Yeah.
they called her. She falls down, Lord knows how many stories to her death. That was a pretty dark and daring thing to happen in this kind of movie. It's about Penguin. Great performance by Danny DeVito. Completely unrecognizable and transformed underneath all that makeup. And the design of the Penguin's very interesting because it's a very goth feel to it. With the pale skin and the blackish eye makeup around him. So they made him look all gothic.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
The thing, the black around his eyes, the nose,
Yeah.
the receding hairline.
Yeah.
He's a great actor, funny
He
guy.
is. Funny guy,
I
too.
remember him, so when I first remember he was in the movie, I thought, oh my gosh, Matilda, because he's also from Matilda.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I hear nothing but great things about Danny DeVito as a human being, and we all love him as a comedic actor. And that's another thing, a transformation that he took a chance with this. He played a dark villainous role, so not only was he completely unrecognizable, but he did something against type. Usually if he plays a villain, he'll play a clumsy, stupid villain, but not in this movie. Michelle Pfeiffer was a rock goddess in this movie too, and obviously, she was in her late
like
20s, mid 30s,
like
she was in her 30s,
early mid 30s.
But she looked great. This is without the Catwoman costume, just that kind of facial vibe she gave when she was in Selena Kyle mode. And you go from innocent, dorky Selena Kyle to that more confident that
very
she becomes
bipolar-ish.
later on. Well, when your boy pushes her out the building, that
she became a totally different character.
Yeah, all of a sudden cats started swarming around her.
Yeah. But I think her Catwoman was obviously so much better than that stupid Halle Berry shit.
Yeah. Okay, I saw that. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna confess right now. Catwoman was worse than Batman and Robin. But we'll get to that later.
The movie
Okay,
itself,
I'm sure.
okay.
I heard.
Yes, the Halle Berry movie
okay,
was worse than that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was bad. And supposedly for Catwoman 2, they tried to offer her a role, and her excuse was, the excuse was, the suit's too tight, I don't want to be in the movie again.
No.
This was
it
the Halle Berry one was a totally different cat. It wasn't even Selena Kyle.
Yeah.
No. I know.
It's like Precious something. I don't even remember her.
Yeah, but
a piece of shit movie. Fuck
Yeah,
that movie.
fuck it.
Worst superhero movie ever.
I love Halle Berry, but that was a bad movie.
Now, was Michelle Pfeiffer Anne Hathaway? No, but I'm just going to leave it at that. When we get to Dark Knight Rises, we'll worry about that. We'll make the comparisons then. But for this, Michelle Pfeiffer rocked. But, the ultimate, I think the real villain of the movie, he wasn't even part of the top billing. Because you got Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Actually, yes, he's 4.
Well, he is 4.
In opening credits.
But he's right after the title, though. He's not
True.
before the title. We're talking about Christopher Walken as Max Schreck. Now, was he one?
Yes.
Was he one snobby motherfucker? Wow.
Talk about a crooked politician.
Yeah. And he's the one that tried to kill Selena Kyle when she found out his secrets of wanting to steal power from Gotham City and the new power plants. But so this, it looks like, other than City Hall, this was set in a completely different part of Gotham than the first movie. But of course, the snow just made it look different.
It's different sets too.
And is it a perfect movie? No. Just like the first one, there's not so much as, I don't know if it's dated problems. The effects look better. They really improved on the effects. Like the CGI used for Batman the shield and the Batmobile.
This one definitely did look better.
Yeah, and but again, there's a character I could think of one. It was one of the Penguin's henchmen that Batman intentionally kills, and that just like in the first movie, when he did that to Joker. That's just
was it the
something
big guy with the bomb?
Yeah, with the bomb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, that's just something that didn't really sit well with me. Going back to Catwoman, was she a villain or just a really dark anti-heroine?
I think exactly the second thing you said.
Okay, because
she wasn't really
she wasn't
a
really.
bad
Yeah,
person.
she really wasn't a villain.
She was mistreated
out for revenge.
before becoming a Catwoman. I'm sorry, go ahead.
so here's the thing, and one of the flaws of the movie is why did she have a thing against Batman? Why was she attacking Batman?
I don't understand that part of the story, and that's one of the only real criticisms I have of this, watching it again. But it's almost like she did become a Batman type character, but at the same time she was stuck between worlds. It was she was not quite a villain, but yet she was, and she had this vendetta against Batman too, even though she loved Bruce Wayne.
She seemed more like a very.
It was a very bipolar.
Like a very angry
character.
person almost. I think she was mistreated, and also she got pushed out the window. I mean, it's pretty serious. So I think she's more like an angry person. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's alright. But I will say this though, I think Michelle Pfeiffer, even though I really like Christopher Walken and Danny DeVito in here, Michelle Pfeiffer gave the best performance in this entire movie. I think.
And something else. Oh, and thank God there's no, not that we had anything against it, but thank God there's no, outside artist music throughout this movie, unlike the Prince music in the first. It actually stuck. to Danny Elfman's score. And Danny Elfman, he really gave that more Tim Burton-ish score this time around. Like I said, like the opening sequence and the scenes in the zoo with the snow and all that really reminded me of both Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands. It had that Tim Burton feel. So it was still very action-packed. I noticed there wasn't as much martial arts in this movie because, again, Tim Burton isn't necessarily a director of that kind of thing. So it's probably something the studio made him do in the first movie. There was some ass-kicking, but it was mostly like, I'm trying to think how to explain it. Whatever. Different types of action sequences, like the penguins, gadgets, and whatnot. But, so yeah, still a great movie, and I love the dark tone, despite the fact that everyone else not liking it.
I actually have a confession to make. I didn't like this movie growing up that much. I always thought it was just kind of depressing and kind of boring because Batman's really not in it that much, or really the Bruce Wayne character. But watching this again, like, I actually have to say, and I never thought I would say this in a million years, I enjoyed this better than the first.
Yeah, well, it improved on the first in a lot of ways. And the first one's a great classic. And hey, Michael Keaton got to stop billing this time.
And he's barely in it.
No, I think he's in it as
he's
much
in
as
it more towards the second half of the movie. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know why? They're developing the Penguin character and whatnot in the first. You know, when Penguin kidnaps Max Schreck to blackmail him. And all that not stupid stuff, but, you know, interesting stuff.
But even though I think there is a lot of stupid shit in this movie, but the reason I'm defending it and liking it as much as I do, it's like something clicked with me this time with this one. What it is, it's almost like just really picture Tim Burton's fucked up vision of Batman, and that's exactly what you get here.
That's exactly. Here's the thing, it's what we call it superhero, even though Batman doesn't have superpowers, he just has cool gadgets and good fighting training. But it's a comic book superhero movie. Yes, there's going to be silly stuff in it. It's not meant to be super realistic. It's actually meant to have this kind of over-the-top vibe. So it's very dark. Yeah, this one doesn't have like a big, like, we mentioned the supporting cast that were worth mentioning. We can
really
mention
doesn't have a big supporting
not
cast.
like the first movie with Jack Palance and
I
and
saw
Billy
Commissioner
Dee
Gordon
Williams.
in this movie, maybe 3 very brief scenes.
Yeah, even
That's
he's hardly. Pat Hingle, yeah. And again, he's one of two. Even Michael Gough is barely in it. I said Cough in the first movie. His name begins with a Gough, Cough. But his name begins with a G. I know that. And I spoke like it began with a C. And honestly, yeah, I say we don't have as much to say about this one as we did the first
Actually,
one.
I do. I have a few things to say.
Okay.
I like this love story better between Selena Kyle and Bruce Wayne.
Well, it wasn't so pushed as hard in the first
It wasn't, but this one, what you see is like these two really depressed people just coming together, and I thought Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer they were really believable in this.
Yeah. And they both had alter egos, dark alter egos, you know?
It's not... Some of the action's actually silly, but I like it. Like, some of it, it's almost as if it's, like, unintentionally funny, too. Like, there's one scene at the beginning, there's this guy blowing out fire, and then Batman turns his car completely around, and then blows the guy away on fire.
Yeah, again, another... Now, you see, that may have been an accidental killing. Did Batman really mean to burn the dude?
I don't know, but it worked for me.
It was fun.
They have these clowns with these big ass heads, like this big in it. They have one scene like Batman's in the middle of the street, like doing a bunch of martial arts and everything with all these people, these criminals. There's one scene I laughed my ass off at it. Look, he punches this guy that has a sword in his mouth, and he's like, and he just takes the sword out of his mouth. I'm thinking to myself, all right, that could have cut the guy's insides off, but I'm standing there laughing.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned most of the Penguin's henchmen are clowns. So why the hell were they not the Joker's henchmen?
I mentioned that.
Movie?
That doesn't make any sense. Why does the Penguin in this movie have the clowns?
Good point.
True, but it was just random henchmen or mobsters in the first one.
Yeah, those
You know?
people already worked for Carl Grissom, not Jack Grissom like I accidentally said in the first. Carl Grissom in the first movie. And it gets even more over the top in the two Schumacher sequels, but we'll get to that when we
Yes,
get to
we'll
those.
definitely get to that.
Oh, you
later.
know what? It's always good to mention the climax of the movie. And again, we're gonna probably describe the climax in detail.
I have one thing to say.
Huh.
Where the fuck did Penguin get that duck? The
Oh.
duckmobile?
Oh,
It was
Did
awesome,
he
but it
steal
was
that
so
from
over
the
the
bathtub?
It was so over the top, but that's why I like this
remember
movie.
that.
It's so stupid and over the top and dark and just fucking weird and just
I agree that he stole out of somebody's bathtub.
Well, just like in the climax when Catwoman kills
Something that went down.
when Catwoman kills Max Schreck at the end by electrocuting him with the taser and the wire.
And kisses him, and then that
And well, the way his dead, burnt body looked, it was like white mouth wide open with eyes, and it's
Nothing,
burnt to
man.
a crisp. It's not realistic. That's not how it would look in real life, but it worked for the movie because it's that dark, macabre Tim Burton style that this
Definitely.
movie is.
Hey, I thought when I was younger, I thought Catwoman died along. No, she
no.
didn't actually.
She's at the last scene
Yeah, she was.
looking
Yeah.
at the moon. And
Yeah, I
then-
mean, they didn't show her face,
No mention
but
of her
only
again.
the back of her head at the very
Yeah.
end.
Another thing I liked is a scene when
That's way better.
the
Should've
scene
been.
when Selena Kyle's having dinner with Bruce Wayne, and he's actually talking about Vicky Vale and why he didn't work and everything. I thought that was pretty nice.
They mention does he mention Vicky by name?
He just says Vicky. He
Okay.
doesn't really describe
Well, I
much
must
about
have
her.
missed that. It must have been so brief.
It was very brief.
Okay. Anywho, the climax. So Christopher Walken as Max Schreck. Okay, here's the thing, because when I read the synopsis on Wiki to help clear some things up, the water in the sewer in the penguin's lair, is that supposed to be a toxic water, like a poison water?
I don't know, but that's a good theory.
Because only the penguins swim in it. One dead human being was already dead before he fell in. That's the fat clown that was like, when they were talking about kidnapping and murdering kids, he was like, isn't that a little too much? But he was already dead before he fell in the water. But Penguin, outside the sewer, on top of the sewer in the zoo, when Batman confronts them and he manipulates the penguins to just launch all the rockets in the park and not towards Gotham City. Penguin presses the button that just so happens to open up the where all the flying bats are, and they fly to Penguin. And he's like, and he falls in the sewer into the water.
Yeah, I remember.
And the rest of the climax, you don't see him.
But he comes out the water and he's all black and.
You go, that's black. Well, and he I forgot all
Maybe
what he
that's
says.
maybe he bleeds that way. I don't know.
Well, he clearly has like blackish blood, but he goes, I need a drink of ice water.
I remember
So, I don't know if there was something in the water that was just toxic in general, or if if in reality the water was, because another theory is, because he mentions the ice water thing, if in reality, and he's choking like, it's not very clear. What really was that the water was super cold and he fell in so, unexpectedly that a lot of it got into his lungs and it froze when it got there. And that's what I heard. The theory was that how that killed him
Chemicals
like
or
that.
something.
And
Toxic,
maybe,
like you said.
like I said, it could be just toxic water, but it beat the hell out of me because he walks out the water just fine, looking fucked up, fine, but then he's trying to speak and then he falls flat on his face and the friendly emperor penguins give him a ritualistic send-off by carrying him and putting him in the water. Penguin, he's considered the lead villain of the movie, but he's hardly in the climax. He met his
Right.
demise at the beginning of the climax. It was all about Catwoman and Max Schreck. And the many times that Catwoman got shot would kill a person in real life, but go with the 9 lives theory. But that was a rock and roll. It wasn't as thrilling of a climax as the first movie. It wasn't as big of a climax.
Definitely wasn't. I do have to fault the movie for that. Like I said, the action really isn't that great in this movie. I feel. There's a lot of
Because
humor.
Tim Burton is
and
not an
darkness.
action director.
True. There's just a lot I do like about this movie, though. No matter how insane it is.
Oh, something else I gotta fault the climax for. Throughout the movies, when Batman is Batman, you can clearly see he's got the black eye makeup to really keep his eye, have the darkness. Yet that very frame, that very shot that he's going to remove his mask.
Yeah, he doesn't have
It's
it
not
around
the
his
black
eyes.
eye makeup's not there. He removed it, and of course he doesn't have the black eye makeup underneath. That's a big continuity error that just really bothered the shit out of me.
It didn't bother me, but what I'm thinking is they filmed that on a separate day or something.
Well, yeah, obviously,
But I guess it's just I mean, come on, if he would have removed the mask with the black around his eye, that
would have looked cool.
I think it would look just out of place, but I don't know, you know.
Well, you know, like in this, you know, one of the, I'm glad we didn't mention the Nolan movies too much in this one, but you know, in those, there's a couple shots where right when Batman is back late, Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne removes his mask, and he don't have the black eye makeup. We'll get to those more, or like in the second movie when he's in Hong Kong before he flies down, he puts his mask on. He didn't have the black makeup before the mask on, so it's.
All right.
But it still buggers me, and I don't think it would have looked bad because that black eye makeup doesn't just make his eyes look better. I think it's also to help with lighting.
What I would call is this. I'd say it was just a simple production mistake that just happened to be in our face by the time the film released. You know, and people like you actually noticed it and it bothered you.
Well, I noticed it the first time when I read. If you go to IMDb and read goofs of movies,
yeah. That's what exactly. It's a goof. It's something that probably wasn't intentional.
Every major movie's got
every movie has
their share of continuity errors and plot holes, and you know, like CinemaSin said, no movie is without sin. They rate some of the best movies of all time, and they find many sins. Did they ever do Batman '89? They did all three.
They did. I know they did Batman and Robin, and that was hilarious.
Yeah. But we don't need CinemaSins to tell us about the sins in that movie.
We'll get to that later.
That's a terrible movie. Okay, the bat nipples.
We will definitely get to that later.
We'll get to bat nipples later, and other more touchy issues about Batman when we get to that movie.
Yeah.
So we got the climax down, the very ending, where he's riding in the limo with Alfred, and he sees Catwoman's shadow, but he finds Miss Kitty, the black cat, and takes her home with. That's cute, actually. I like that. And then you see Catwoman up at the top, you know, before the end. It's all cool stuff. The only sucky thing is that Catwoman didn't return for sequels. That implied that she should have.
And Billy D. Williams didn't return as Two-Face.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we spoke about that, and we'll speak about that for the next one too.
Overall, like, I think this movie looks better than the first. Like you said, the climax wasn't that great as the first, but there's something about this one I enjoy watching it better nowadays than what I did when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like I think there's a lot of things I didn't get when I was young.
You understand a few more things, and you know, as an older person. Michael Keaton was also in better physical shape in this movie too, I think. Or maybe his hair was just short because in the first one.
I like his Bruce Wayne better here.
Yeah, he really, and he was great in the first one, but he really also kicked it up a notch in this one because it was actually about him and not the villain, except for the beginning of the movie.
And I love Christopher Walken throughout this entire movie.
Oh yeah,
some of his
that
lines
white hair.
He says, exactly, the white hair, the suits he wears, his office, his interaction with the Penguin, and I like some of his lines he says there. Yeah, wasn't you the one born with a silver spoon or some shit, you know, just everything about him in this movie is awesome.
And the character, the guy that plays his son, Andrew, whatever's it, the guy that played
Actually, I have to criticize that guy.
He looked completely different in this than he does as Zangief in 1994 Street Fighter, and he also did Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw remakes. But you go ahead with your criticism. I'm sure he's worth criticizing.
Didn't you find he was trying to put on a Christopher Walken accent?
To represent,
yes.
Maybe.
I seen that the entire movie.
It's like he really cared about his father, and you know what? Maybe Max Schreck isn't a complete douche because in that scene where Penguin crashes the party with the big yellow ducky, to kidnap the son, Max Schreck actually goes, he sacrifices himself. He's like, take me instead. So I guess Max Schreck.
What I don't get about that scene too is the Penguin. Max Schreck really didn't fuck over the Penguin, and the Penguin still wanted to kill him afterwards. I did not get that.
Because the Penguin,
I thought maybe it was gonna be like he was gonna act like he was gonna take him out and just keep him down there or something.
Oh, how can we forget about the scene where, because the Penguin was trying to run for mayor, but he got room when Bruce Wayne played the disc over the radio when he was really saying that. By the way, the not chase scene, but that driving scene where the Penguin manipulated the Batmobile and was driving it.
Yeah, another question: where did he get that?
Are you talking about the tools too?
Yeah, yeah. Where did he get all?
Where did that woman, that quiet woman, get the device to undo the shields when Batman was away from it? That's
That's another question too.
But it was
It's over the top silliness.
It was a
I'd
fun,
say.
silly, over the top, good action scene. Good car based action scene. But I think we'd have just about talked about everything, and we're almost we're at the 25-minute mark. We actually made it just as long as the first movie.
I would like to throw something just in real quick. The fact that Penguin carries around an umbrella and he could turn it into like a gun or something.
Well,
you have
it's
a point
different.
there.
It's
Like,
different umbrellas.
I'm like,
Yeah, it's different umbrellas. I know what
how
he
do
means.
you-
Where did you get the gadgets for the
Yeah.
I
umbrellas?
think those
Like,
were gadgets of his, because in some of the comics he's depicted as a weapons specialist.
Yeah, sure.
He's
Like-
actually the one villain that's not psychotic. Well, in this movie I think he was, but in comics he's the one villain that's not psychotic.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Like, how can an umbrella hold a bunch of bullets?
Probably only well, good. Yeah, when that scene where he's on the microphone trying to be mayor and he tried shoots
Yeah.
everyone. Good point.
I have to
Again, over
mention
the
that
top.
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has vegetables and fruits.
Yeah.
At
But you
at
know what?
American
The
Convention.
movie knew that, because when Penguin was walking them, he says, "Do everyone carry fruits, vegetables, something like that?" To all speeches. So it's like the movie acknowledged that odd goof, which is really funny. But
Yeah, it was funny. Like I said, like the silliness in this movie works for some reason.
But in this movie, Penguin was depicted as not mentally stable. In the comics, he's actually the one
That is
villain
stable.
who's stable. He
Oh, yeah.
actually allies with Batman sometimes and exchanges information. But
Here he was just a wreck, emotional
he
wreck.
had sympathy. He was more sympathetic than like the Joker, because he wanted to be a part of society, but at the same time he wanted to tear down the city. So okay, star rating. I'll give it a semi-solid 3.5, because it improved on the first movie in a lot of parts.
Watching it again, I want to give it a 4, but I'm going to give it a 3.5 for this because it really is kind of silly and doesn't make sense a lot of the times.
Out of a 4-star rating system.
But yeah, I'm going to go with 3.5 with this.
Yeah.
What about
Do any of y'all, if y'all can
It has to
remember,
be out of 4.
out of 4?
Okay, I would say same thing, 3.5. I mean, the movie's good. I mean, I love the movie. Well, I mean, the temporary and darker stuff, but like I said, they could have done some improvements on certain things. But that's my opinion.
I would have to give it a 3.5 also.
Wow, we're.
I can't wait
on this.
for the review that we all disagree with. I'm sure it's going to come one of these days. We need to find a movie that we have mixed
Definitely.
opinions on.
Yes.
All right. Look, we've actually gone longer than the first one. Now we're at 28 minutes. All right, everyone. That's it. Sayonara.